Hildebran Town Council meeting to order. The first thing I think we wanted to do was to vote on whether to open it to the public. Is that correct?
We are not set up. However, if the council would like to open the future meetings to the public, you know, in conjunction with what the governor's done, the governor's gotten rid of all social distancing, all capacity restrictions, and any mask restrictions provided you're vaccinated. So if we want to if we want to do that, if we want to coincide with what he's done at council meetings, we could take a vote to do that. But I didn't set up any chairs tonight in case there's anybody out there. So, I mean, they can still observe it from the TV that's going to be out there here, but in terms of coming in here, we can start next month. Have them inside. If council
Is that all right with everybody? I don't think anybody can, did it?
I didn't say anybody want to just do it then.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and have our moment of silence. And let's remember, you know, we lost some people this past month. Troy Smart, Zeno Crump, who was our principal for many years, and Tony Bowman, who was the Methodist pastor here. So,
Yeah, pretty prominent people.
yes. All right. Well, join with me now, if you would. Thank you. Terry, if I asked you lately to lead us in the pledge? Okay.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the review and the adoption of the agenda. I believe you have some changes here.
2 minutes.
So if y'all will look over those and make a motion whenever you're ready.
All right, if it's possible, if we can make an amendment, I'll throw it out here. I don't know where we do it. I did a little more research on the elections for, I think you voted for even, right? Or I mean odd, keeping it at odd. To have a discussion, maybe look at revisiting that. I did do some research on that for school board elections. I think if they stay even years, we might have the brunt of the $40,000 or $60,000 for the elections if we keep them on the 2019. I think is what I understand. So I'd like to make an amendment at least to discuss that and see if that's an option to have further discussion on that. I don't know where we would put that.
6D.
60?
Would that work? At least at this time. Yeah.
Did you say 6D?
Yes.
Okay, these others that are on your table here.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
All right. All in favor? All right, thank you. Approve the minutes from the April 26, 2021 regular meeting minutes. Look over those and make a motion when you're ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, April 26, 2021, regular meeting minutes.
All right, all in favor? All right, thank you. Do we have any public out there to make a comment? Alice, I don't guess you got any letters or anything?
No.
Okay, all right, we'll skip on over that now. 6, old business. 6A, consider approval of revision of the fiscal year 21-22 facility rental fees. And that is in your packet. Alice, you're going to expand on that?
Yeah, so we have noticed that when we have groups that we kind of have people that they're not necessarily the person renting, but they're finding somebody in their group who's a veteran or military person, and they're getting a military discount. That kind of wasn't what the intent was, right, for the military discount. And when you have large groups, it's really not cost effective for us to continue to have large groups, and they're getting 50% off. So we talked about it, and we felt like for our rentals, if we made the military discounts 25% off, we kept the nonprofits at 50, and we're proposing the military at 25% off.
All right, how do y'all feel?
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Sounds
Taking
right.
advantage of.
Well, I
Yeah,
support the military in a lot of ways, you know, and
I do too.
We all do, but we shouldn't let somebody take advantage of us that way.
I don't think they need, that's what I was gonna say that, I don't think they need
I
that.
think whoever books it, if they're a veteran, maybe show their, however they want to do that, but like you, is taking advantage of it.
It will be for veterans purpose and not,
That's right.
not.
Right, if it's something for the
No,
veteran
no,
itself, that's
no,
one thing. If just the military come in and they say, I'm a veteran and we're gonna have a birthday party for such and such's grandson or whatever, I don't think they should be, no.
But if it's for the military veteran itself, that's different.
That's right.
I could go along with that, if it's for the veteran himself.
Yeah.
I trust that to do it the correct way. The question is whether or not to change the cost.
At the end of the day, though, how are you gonna police that?
But that's true, I mean, I agree with you.
At the end of the day, I mean, people are still gonna take advantage of it, so they're getting 25% discount instead of 50%. If you think worst case scenario, so, I mean, you're gonna get more money even if the same thing still goes on, because how are you really wanna police that?
Is there a way to, Alice, when they get the call, can you police it that way, kind of, is it a couple more? Or is
They
it-
can tell you anything on the phone or in person, they can tell you anything.
You gotta show your VA card through each. Anybody claim they're a veteran?
I don't think people are falsely claiming,
I don't think they need false purpose.
No, I mean, it's not a false claim because we do require the proof. It's just,
Yeah.
they're finding
Purpose.
anybody in the group of 50 people who is a military person, and they're bringing them with them to fill out the paperwork.
That's taking advantage of this.
I mean,
Yeah.
if the person is in attendance but necessarily isn't the one renting it, I mean, I don't see the problem in that, because the person's in attendance, even though the event may not be for them, but. I
My
mean,
thing
it's-
is, if we're having it if it's for military, it's for a veteran.
Yeah.
And say we're having a birthday party for the veteran. If he can show proof that that's actually his birthday within a few days either way, you could, you know. But like I said, there again, they will take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's rarely the case though. It's normally a shower, a birthday party, and there happens to be somebody in the party attending who is a veteran. Or, so they're getting the discount.
It's a kind of tricky
Yeah.
thing because just about 50 people, odds are you have a veteran in there.
Right.
In every case, you know.
I feel like it's just being a little nitpicky personally. Because I
And
mean, you know, say for instance, my father-in-law wants to attend his grandson or granddaughter's, you know, birthday party. But he's not necessarily the one renting it, but he's gonna be there. I still feel like it's, I don't know. Personally, I just feel like it's just being too nitpicky, too greedy, but that's my personal opinion.
Well, and the other thing too is how many other facilities offer 50% off for military?
I don't disagree with that. I think some kind of discount needs to be given. I mean, if you
Yeah,
guys wanna-
that's why we were looking at
if you wanna
25.
push for 25%, that's fine, you know, to make a vote, but I feel like we're nickel and diming here.
But we're very cheap to begin with, and when you take 50% off of a lot of your rentals, then it's,
I don't clear service. I don't dispute that, but I also could push back on the whole gymnasium thing whenever, you know, we had a higher rental rate. It wasn't being rented. We lowered the price on Sundays and then we got a whole lot of rentals. Yes, we are cheap, but that's why we're starting to get rentals. 4 years ago, we had a problem. I mean, y'all can attest, we had no rentals. So personally, I just think we leave it the way it is, but I mean, if y'all wanna vote, I mean, we don't have to be unanimous, so I just say we just go ahead and.
So you're saying 25% will get you back in line? where-
Yeah.
Okay, you wanna change it to 25 or leave it at 50?
Yeah, make the motion to change the rental fee for veterans for 25%.
All right, all in favor? Opposed? All right, 3-2 in favor. All right, 6B, consider approval of golf cart ordinance. And that is in your packet. It's quite lengthy.
I'll cover the highlights of it. Haven't had a chance to read it, throughout the week, but, essentially section 1 is gonna start on page 2. It's gonna give you exceptions, at least there's 4 of those there. These are exceptions for, when a golf cart, isn't allowed. So obviously, if, someone's operating one golf cart, at a golf course, private clubs, private property, on a piece of property where the owner's giving consent. You've got 3 other, exceptions there listed. Section 2 goes on to the licenses, details out the license required for this. Section 3 is registration. That one's kind of lengthy. Part A is gonna be the requirements saying that no golf cart shall be operating on any public street, road, or highway within the town or on property owned or leased by the town unless the golf cart has first been registered with the town of Hildebran. Town hall is required herein. The registration shall be renewed thereafter in accordance with the provisions of this section. Going on to the application, it details out what's gonna be required within the application, the procedures. They're gonna have it inspected. So, part E, the inspection of golf cart is be equipped with a rear vision mirror and at least 2 red reflectors, at least 3 inches in height and width. The golf cart is equipped with a reflective, slow-moving sign or flag on the rear of the cart. The brakes provided by the manufacturer of the golf cart are in proper working order. The golf cart has all of the standard safety features provided by the manufacturer and has been modified, has not been modified to exceed a speed of 25 or 20 miles an hour, nor otherwise modified in any way that creates a hazard. And then lastly, for the inspection, number 5, the golf cart is equipped with all mechanical systems and safety equipment required by this ordinance. Part F, you'll see lists the denial and revocation, reasons for it, there's 6 in total. G covers the financial responsibility. H covers the disqualified vehicles, we're on page 4. Getting to section 4, manner of operation, it talks about the hours of operation. Claims that golf carts shall not be operated during inclement weather or when fog, smog, smoke, or other conditions reduce the visibility, so that the golf cart is not visible from a distance of 250 feet. The biggest one we wanted to mention to council to make sure council was okay with this. I do believe we were gonna add Highway 70A. My packet in particular doesn't have it, but their packet might.
It's 45 and 48.
Okay, so it's automatically included. But yeah, streets, so you get down to section 4B, any street where the posted speed limit is more than 35 miles an hour, or, and the streets we've included for Highway 70, I-40 Access Road, Curly's Fish Camp, Wilson Road, North Center, South Center, 2nd Avenue Northwest, 4th Avenue Southwest, Main Avenue West, and then anywhere on 40, but that's a state law. Can't have golf carts on the interstate. The reason for the majority of these, Highway 70, for example, Wilson Road, South Center Street, these were for traffic counts, very high traffic count numbers. Highway 70 is our most traveled road. I-40 Access, Curly's Fish Camp, Main Avenue West, and 4th Avenue Southwest are all, Main Avenue West. They all, and 4th Avenue, they all either bridge into 40 or they are used by transfer trucks to get to 40. Transfer trucks, for example, use South Center Street quite a bit at this point. 2nd Avenue Southwest goes into, I believe it's Lexington, the Lexington plant on the north center side of 70. So they've got a lot of vehicles that go in and out of there, would want to have a golf cart on it. The one thing I will say about this is that the golf cart can cross these roads. So if you're going from one side of that road to the other, you can use these streets as a crossing, but you can't use these streets for another route. Yeah. Again, we felt like based on traffic counts, based on transfer trucks using these roads, or being a main artery into 40, those did not seem like good streets to allow them. Now, again, if council wants to amend that or change that, feel free to, but I did want to point out those streets before we moved on. Anyway, then it goes on to talk about the motor vehicle laws, right-of-ways, town property and sidewalks, golf cart capacity, you can't have more than 4 passengers, commercial purposes, parking, towing, golf carts at cemeteries. Section 5 is the disclaimer and liability, so that is important. Disclaimer, golf carts are not designed for nor manufactured to be used on public streets, and the town does not advocate nor endorse golf carts as a safe means to travel on public streets, roads, and highways. The town in no way shall be liable for accidents, injuries, or death involving the operation of the golf cart. Then Part B talks about the assumption of risk for the person who does operate it. Section 6 defines the violations, the amounts. Part B, anyone who operates a cart in the town of Hildebran fails to obtain and properly display a permit, or if he fails to maintain their previously registered and approved cart in compliance with this ordinance, will be subject to all applicable state laws in addition to being in violation of this ordinance. Page 6. Section 7 defines the civil penalties involved. Penalty and cess shall be paid to the town within 10 days of the issuance of the written notice or civil citation in accordance with the instructions contained in such notice or citation. Failure to pay the penalty with the prescribed amount of time subject the offender to a civil action in the nature of debt for the collection of the original penalty, any increased penalties for repeat offenders, and for an additional penalty in the amount of $50, together with the cost of any action required to collect the same as such cost to be taxed by the court. If you gotta go that route, I don't think that'll be an issue. Part C, contents of violation notice or citation. Part D, payment, how they should pay. E, remedies. And then Section 8, severability. So it states that if any section, subsection, sentence, or term of this ordinance or any other application thereof to any person or circumstances judged to be unconstitutional and invalid, such adjudication shall not affect the validity of the remainder portion of this ordinance. So basically, if the state comes in, if a judge comes in and says, hey, this piece of this ordinance is invalid, what we have in Section 8 is saying, okay, well, even though that's invalid, that doesn't constitute the entire ordinance.
Each part stays the same.
So that covers the majority of it. Does council have any questions at this
You got some
point?
great permits, so forth. It's all about-
Yeah, and
Good job on that.
if you go to the back, and again, this was modeled after Morganton, 2 things. One, you do have the application itself, name, address, phone number, birthday, driver's license number, make and model of the golf cart, VIN, color, year, gas or electric, insurance company, and the policy number, applicant signature. Then you've got the office use stuff. Lastly, the last thing you'll see before 7A is the disclaimer of liability and assumption of risk. The owner and a witness has to sign that. Basically, we keep on file that they acknowledge, we don't advocate for this, we don't support this in any other fashion other than if you're willing to do it yourself. So they have to sign the assumption of risk for the application.
Do applicants receive information about?
Yeah, and what we'll do is when we give them the application, we will give them a copy of the ordinance.
Okay.
That way they understand.
So they know which roads to go and all that, like Ben stuff.
And if it becomes burdensome to give them the entire ordinance, we can obviously put it online, but we can even, if it becomes something where we need to start giving that to them, a special listing of it, we can do that on the application or in some other form. Notification.
All right, so it's $25 for a permit and then $5 for either the permit or the decal, so it's $30 for the person to pay with the application, right?
Yeah, registration fee, $25 for each cart, as well as a $5, as well as $5 for the permit and decal that we will provide them.
Okay, and they have to have an inspection,
Yes.
and how frequently do they have to be re-inspected?
An inspection is good for a period of 2 years. So they
Okay, and
will
how
get-
long is the permit good for?
Should be good indefinitely.
Do you not have to pay a renewal on your permit every year?
Yeah, there needs to be some type of renewal on that, that's not.
On it every other year?
That's something, you know, Redmond, being a mortgage, do they do over?
You should have, or be, I think it should be renewed annually,
Yeah,
make sure that they maintain.
and I think the inspection probably should be as well.
I thought it was annual, yeah, but once a year is the way I would always
I
heard.
highly recommend we do annual re-inspection and permitting, just like you would have to do with your car. Why would the golf cart be any different?
Again, this was modeled after Morganton.
I know, Morgan, they was, the way I understood it, was one-time registration, or, you know, you pay in, then each year you pay like a $5 renewal.
Check their perspective. And the police department more does look at that closely.
Do what?
The police department checks.
Yeah.
Well, and again, they may have changed it or updated it since, but you know, this is the one we pulled off their site and it's just got it listed as every 2 years. But if we want to change that, if you want to go ahead and mark that as every year instead of a period of 2
Yeah,
years.
when you register a regular motor vehicle, you do it annually.
Yeah, I recommend doing it yearly. Now, I still do want to bring up the safety concerns, even though that we talk about the roads with certain mile per hour and cross streets and everything, there's still going to be a safety issue, especially when you start looking at roads like you're going to cross Wilson Road or Wilson Speedway. If you're going to cross, you know, some of these other roads, I mean, there's still going to be a danger factor into that. So, you know, I'm still kind of hesitant whether or not I still want to approve this, but if we do approve it, I still think it needs to happen.
Is there some kind of signage we can put on there, like Wilson Road, car park cars or something like that? Or any kind of signage like that? If you have some kind of.
So there's a sign for,
Clark Crossing.
for,
They got them at golf
Tractor.
tractor,
I
Lenore,
believe they got to do
Cross
that.
Love, places like that.
I think it's
United
60.
Farms, they got cart crosses on their streets. They got signs.
Might not be a bad investment to get a sign up there, because you're like, people want to speak. They seem to go quickly.
Guys,
Just be aware of cart crossing, I can't remember how they put it.
well, and since if we're gonna talk about Wilson Road, you know, that we're put into the state plan on getting that road modernized and all that stuff anyway, we could possibly get signage and everything paid for when they're redoing that road. But in the meantime, I mean, if you're talking about that dip right below Wilson Creek, I don't even think sign's gonna cut people going 70 miles an hour through there.
Yeah.
Cause it's gonna be too little too late.
That could be designed, unless it was billboard size.
Well, and it's usually by the time I see it, it's already too late, cutting through that corner.
Yeah, section 3 registration talks about the every other year permits, yeah, we can remove that, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing, when you're talking about all these other streets that, even though they can't be on, they can use for crossing. You know, 70 would be a concern for me, I guess, what'd you call it, Wilson Speedway? I've never heard that yet, but
Well, if you live anywhere close to there, you can hear the motorcycles racing.
I live where.
They got a lot of
I live off
motorcycles.
Wilson.
Yeah, a lot of motorcycles, that's true.
There's a lot of motorcycles and there's a lot of people racing. Flat out racing. There's been a lot of fatal accidents there too.
I mean, would council would they want to put, you know, some type of language that these roads cannot be driven on at all, even for crossing? Is that
Well, didn't you say they'd have to have their own insurance, they take their own risk, all that?
Yeah, because the town's not liable if they sign off on that, correct?
We're not liable.
Well, I'm not concerned about liability. I'm concerned about the loss of life.
Well, I know that, I know.
I mean, I just wonder if we're opening up a can of worms. And I don't want to open a can of worms, stand back and say, hey, that's not on us, that's on you. I feel like that's, I know the sheriff's deputies have personally reached out to me and expressed some concern from a safety standpoint.
Yeah, I've had the same. I think we, you know, probably gonna be safer on a golf cart than it will be those crotch rockets, like you said, going through there 100 miles an hour.
Well, what's the difference if you crossing it, what's the difference in a golf cart crossing it than a bicycle?
In mortgage, we've had golf carts for a while, and I'm not aware of any serious accidents involving golf cart as compared to mopeds. My office is on a one-way street, Union Street, all the way away, and at least once every 2 or 3 weeks, somebody doesn't see a moped. Golf cart is bigger.
Golf cart is bigger, it is more visible.
And it's gonna have lights on it, it's gotta be, it's gonna have a tag, so
Yeah,
it'll be a little more visible.
Moped scared the bejesus out of me. I mean, and when you, and I mean, I've seen people really get worked up bad on moped.
And I'm not opposed to it, as long as we do yearly inspection, yearly renewal.
I think that's reasonable.
I don't think it's been unreasonable, I think it's,
So if it's $25 initial permit fee, what do you think the fee for an annual renewal should be on the same? I don't think it should be 25, but I don't think it should be 5.
what'd you say, was it Morganton was $5 or $5 is what you said? That's what you said.
The way they-
$5
They do it every other year, I think.
or every other.
Yeah. So every other year for the permit.
And most of the ones in Morgan you see are city staff when you have the fall festival, because people, some of the guys are really big boys, they can't ride around, they can't ride all day long. Occasionally I might be one of the big ones, to be honest. The fun of the ball head is a dangerous thing for some of that.
Somebody wanna make a motion?
Yeah, does anybody have any questions about this?
I don't know how many we're gonna have anyway, Cole, maybe to your point, I mean, it's not like there's gonna be a ton of people around here gonna spend 10, 15, 20, 25 grand on the street with their golf carts in this area. Now, if it was downtown Hickory, maybe Charlotte, no, I could be wrong too, but.
I'd be scared death riding when I'm down there, Henry Charlotte.
That's right.
Hey, I don't like riding a car or a big truck in Charlotte, to be honest with you. I'm there every day twice.
I don't know how much, how many people actually use this.
Well, apparently there's been a debate, because I know the 4 years I've been sitting on this board, somebody at least once a year brings it up. So it's either one really persistent person or there's a need for it, so.
If I had one, I'd probably drive it too.
Well,
At least they drive a lot slower than motorcycles.
Yes, sir. That's right.
I'll make a motion to approve the golf cart ordinance.
Change the registration.
No, with the registration and
Once a year.
inspection once a year.
what do you want to set the renewal, $5 a year?
It's currently, the way it's listed in the ordinance is that it's $25 each year, whether that be for the initial registration or for any renewal of the application.
25 each year.
That's cheap.
I do,
Still.
I'm good with that.
Sounds good. Roll with it. 25 every year,
Yearly inspection.
yearly inspection.
All right. That's all. All those in favor? That's everybody. All right, thank you. Okay, 6C, discussion of a fall festival. And, Logan, you've been talking to other towns and trying to find.
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of difficult to find somebody who puts on a festival. The Burke County Chamber of Commerce was, and I believe the mayor's got something additional, and I'll let you cover the additional. But the two that I found and made contact with was BAM Marketing, brick and mortar marketing management company. From what I can tell, the majority of the things they do have been with hardware businesses on grand openings. This person was given to me by Tanya Stevenson at the Burke County Chamber of Commerce. These people are actually out of Asheville, so I'm not necessarily sure how she got with them, but they had expressed an interest in doing something like this. Made contact with them, don't have like a cost yet, but they're definitely interested in doing it. I would prefer someone who's done, festival work before. So I reached back out to Tanya. She gave me the name of Rebecca Warren. She is the one who originated the Blackberry Festival in Lenore. She doesn't currently do the Blackberry Festival. I'm not sure who's doing it now, but she expressed interest in possibly doing it. I've called and emailed her waiting on a response. For fees, she's interested. But I don't have, she's not called me back yet, so we're still waiting on that.
You said the person's name was Rebecca Warren?
Yeah.
Sounds like the lady that runs the 5K events in Marion.
I've heard she runs a lot of events.
If so, she does a fantastic
I've
job.
heard her name.
She's very knowledgeable and very experienced.
Well, and she's the one who got the Blackberry Festival up and running off the ground, which is.
And I don't know if she has anything to do with the Bigfoot Festival in Marion, but we all know that's crazy.
Well,
Thanks for everybody, yes.
Yeah,
Well,
They really go out.
it's something, but yeah, I mean, if that's the person you're talking about, yeah, I would.
well, we had one other interested party that reached out to.
Yeah, Kathy Stallings contacted me about, she was interested. I tried to text her back today and I didn't get a response today. But
Well, I would be more interested in pursuing the person that reached out to the mayor and Rebecca Warren as first options. Then if we can't get something worked out, maybe follow up with the building or brick and mortar marketing people.
Like this hardware store around the festival, there's a variation there. There's a hardware store over there.
Yeah, I look for things that would be comparable in terms of events, crowd size, you know, number of responsibilities. And so at this point, I would recommend, probably following through with Ms. Warren and, Stallings. Yeah.
That's good.
The other thing we talked about is what type of festival? It's a fall festival. The one thing we've come up with is, District 12 Hildebran games. Would that interest anybody? The only reason we say that is there's a market for it. We could partner with Calvin down here with, we can make a weekend-long thing, having Friday or Saturday here, or having morning events, having people go down there. He could shuttle bus people. From what we understand, it was in the paper this month, is Burke Middle has some really good archery people. They won some state-level championships in the past couple months.
So East Burke Middle,
East Burke Middle.
Yeah.
Bobby Gibson and myself was the one that raised the money to start that program at East Burke Middle School.
So we were thinking of having some type of competition, having that there at it, you know, having that either a main event or an attraction, something that goes along with both the Hunger Games and something that our area evidently does really well.
It'd be especially impressive if you could find somebody on the archery team whose first name is Canvas.
It's just something to throw out there, but it makes sense with something we're good at.
Well, they were some of those kids that actually went to Ray Childers. They went all the way into Kentucky to shoot. And when they came to East Burke Middle School, they didn't even have the program. We did a barbecue at the school to raise the money to buy all of their targets, everything they needed.
That's not cheap.
And gave away, actually had a couple drawings, gave away some bows and archery supplies and stuff. So.
Well, and we feel like the school would be interested in partnering with that. I mean, given what Terry's saying and what we know about them, I'm sure they'd be interested in that. Now, whether the name's there, you know, all of that stuff, that's just things we're throwing out, but it seemed something along the lines of having archery involved seems like a good idea.
Well, partnering with the Henry River Mill Village seems organic because it's here, not like we're just pulling the straws. So, and anytime you can reach out to, you know, nonprofits in the area to kind of help, and that also
And
helps.
also, it's really good.
Yeah, so I think that's a wonderful idea. You know, we probably need to reach out to Calvin to make sure that he's up for that, because I know he's had a couple festivals and stuff.
yeah, they're gonna have a festival, sometime this fall. I can't remember now when it.
There was something in the paper about it, I remember. Yeah, saying.
But yeah, we need to talk about when it's gonna be. The
Well-
cruise-ins go through September. And the reason they didn't wanna do the festival is because you were having to take up, you know, the festival people were having to leave about 4:00. So the cruise-in could start at about 5, and it was really kind of chaotic.
Too much on that.
It's tight.
Yeah, too much work.
So that's why I'm saying it maybe should be October.
Well, and I'm not sure, but I believe Hickory got rid of the Oktoberfest.
They got rid of Oktoberfest?
From what
It's in
I,
the first part of October,
is it,
first weekend.
are they still doing it? I was under the impression
I
that,
think maybe that's gone.
I thought it was.
I don't know, I know there's a big
I thought
stink,
it
had a
was
big stink going on, guys, but whatever happened to the deal?
So I think it was like a massive block party.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
yeah,
well,
Mostly every festival.
Drunk fest.
Well,
well,
some, this was saying this one took the money and this one was doing this and that one was doing that.
That's all I heard.
I said, I don't know what all ended up happening on all that.
I was told prior to COVID it wasn't gonna happen anyway. Now, obviously, since COVID hit, they didn't have it, but, Tracy Nestor actually headed up that event, which is our previous planner's mom, and just when I got from speaking with Hunter on it, I was under the impression that that was something the downtown association did with the city, but again, like they said, something happened between the two, and so they decided to not continue that.
Something to do with the JCs and all, they were all involved in that.
The JC's overseeing all the piers, so.
That's what I'm saying, that's,
Well, I think if we had discussed talking about working with the Henry River Mill Village, we probably need to see, number one, are they interested? What's their schedule look like? And then maybe at the next meeting, we kind of discuss more of a time frame, especially after we get in touch with, one of the two other people we discussed with, and just kind of see what scheduling on their end looks like. Because we can pick a date, but if the people that want to put it on doesn't work with their schedule, then there's no point in it.
Okay. Check with Hildebran.
Maybe have two proposed dates.
I don't know that they necessarily have yearly festivals, but I know they put festivals on, because I've been to one of them with Hickory and Professional, so I know they've had them from time to time, but I don't know if
They've
they're.
had Oktoberfest for a long time.
Okay.
But when it stopped quickly and badly.
All right, that was our discussion, what we decided.
Come back next month
Talk
with
about it.
prices, maybe more information. Would you like to maybe, depending on if we can file down who would better suit, maybe, would council, we can do this, either I can come back next month with a recommendation on which of the two to proceed with, or we could have, council have them maybe put up some, if you'd like to vet them in terms of holding an event, having them maybe submit some information on events they've done in the past, or what they've ever done. I don't know if that makes a difference to council, give them a price to do it.
I mean, I feel like, as a manager, you can gauge the validity of what they've done. I mean, I immediately, when you said Rebecca Warren, I recognize that, and I can vouch for that. But I say probably what would make sense is if you can vet kind of information and say by the next meeting, just kind of have a recommendation on who we go with, what we're doing, maybe one or two possible dates, and then we kind of vote to proceed with it. Because by that point, it'll be June, we'll be looking 3 to 4 months out, and they'll probably need that amount of time to put it
Hopefully
on.
October event, which probably won't be quite so hot.
Is there any limit council would like to kind of set in terms of, because I mean, here's the thing, festival can be any number of things, but it's how much you're willing to spend. Is there a limit? Is there an amount you already got in mind that you'd like to keep it to?
I don't want to negotiate that yet. I feel like just let them throw it out and see what they think. What would be good for the area, what all would be needed, and have them pitch it, and then we just have kind of a game plan and we can look at it next month.
Sounds good.
All right. 6D, election.
Derek, that's you.
Yeah, so I did a little more research. I guess it's more for just conversation to see where they're at. It looks like the Burke County School, or most of the school boards will move to even years.
That's what it looks like when I talked with Senator Daniel after we had the last discussion. Once we came out with our letter, and a lot of the other towns and stuff had mentioned that they were kind of against how it was done at the last minute. They look like they're proposing to modify the bill to only affect county and school board elections, kind of not have the municipality piece to that. But to the point that you brought up, if the county and school board, which covers the bulk of the cost of the election, and odd years goes to even, then that means 100% of the cost of the election would be strictly up to the municipalities. And I don't remember the number, but I mean,
I
you
think
said
it's
something
around 40 to 60.
somewhere between 40 and 60,000. That sounds about right.
That's the reason I brought it up was, do we carry the brunt of that,
Should we wait until more information is available before we revisit this issue?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the issue is the issue. I mean, it's if
my understanding, the school board has already decided, is that not right? That's what I'm understanding, they've already decided and sent their paperwork in to move to even years.
That was the impression I got. I don't know if the vote on that has been happened, but
That has not voted, that, the majority wants to do it that way. The local bill only affects Caldwell and Burke counties. It's not statewide. It's a local bill.
Yeah,
I
I
wish
think
we could talk to the lady over the election board and find out the exact cost.
well, I mean,
that
I
was
don't
my
think-
concern, was being stuck with the 40 to 60 grand.
No,
I don't know if that's
that would be
gonna
prorated on all the cities. There's no way, on a municipal election, the more people turn out, would cost $60,000.
I think it really kind of depends on the size of the town. I mean, maybe for like Morganton or somebody. But I mean, going back to the points that, I made when we talked about this 2 months ago, I think at the end of the day, the point is you're gonna have more people available, which is gonna give a better representation for the elections and the municipal election. We have higher voter turnout. I made a really strong argument then, as far as different reasons why. I think cost is a piece of it. And I think it's not a negligible piece, but I mean, whether you know the exact dollar figure or not, I mean, is it gonna be more than 10,000? Most definitely. What are we paying now? I mean, significantly less than that. But, I think that the cost is a piece, the higher voter turnout. The argument was made before about, it'd be more confusing ballot by going to a second page. And I feel like at the end of the day, that kind of insults the voter in the sense of just the longer the ballot, I don't think there's gonna be more confusion, because you're either gonna be confused on the first line or you're gonna be confused on the last line, if you're gonna be confused at all. I think at the end of the day, you're voting. So, I mean, that was kind of my argument.
Yeah, my thing was, we're gonna get more votes, if everybody's gonna be on even, then we're at odds, two separate elections, but, it's, I didn't have a whole lot of information on it. When I heard that number this past week, around 40, 60 grand, well, I didn't want to tell you.
I had to fill out that voting form. And when you got a big form like that out there, there's people in there I voted for, I had to fill it out. These people you don't know.
I'll disagree,
I just assume people like it is myself, but y'all keep talking about it, whatever, I'm here.
Well, I feel like if you don't know them on odd years, you're not gonna know them on even years regardless, but
No, I'm just saying, the people who vote for us need to be voting for our town, we don't need everybody else voting for the whole county. I'm just saying for town municipalities,
The
council and the mayor and all this stuff,
the county wouldn't be voting.
I know that, but I'm saying the people who vote for us, I don't think the reason to move to themselves, but you do whatever, that's just my opinion.
I think there is more enthusiasm for the town election when it is separate. And there's more energy towards it. I just think that if it's lumped in with the presidential election, that's where all the energy goes. Everybody's talking about the president. And they're gonna go in there to vote, and then they're gonna get down there to the bottom and say, wait a minute,
They just gonna start checking.
yeah.
I can see your point to an extent, but the point that I brought up last time, and I still believe that, is I feel like, we're in a constant state of campaigning. I mean, we just had an election, 6 months ago, and we're already talking about the 2022 elections and the 2024 elections. It's like, I feel like there's campaign burnout, and I feel like that's why you get a lot of voter apathy, in the sense that your turnout is not as high. Yes, the people that vote in local elections are engaged, and they are just as engaged, and they're going to be voting in the primaries and the election in odd and even years. They're going to be voting all the time. But what we're talking about is engaging the people that don't come out in the odd number of years, and by them showing up during even number of years on, federal and state elections, that maybe they will be a little more engaged in those local elections. Because at the end of the day, it goes back to my point, is you should be more engaged with your local elections than your county, state, federal. The broader the election, the less it has to do with your day-to-day life. The people sitting in this room have more to do with your day-to-day life. And so, by adjusting that election, I personally think that the people that turn up are going to be more engaged.
This has already been voted on once. I personally have a problem with an issue being discussed and debated and voted on, and then being brought up again for vote.
Yeah, and I think being the only reason why I thought about it was, it's the last time I didn't have all the information. I
understand.
So part of it was when I heard the run of that 40 to 60 grand on there, if it stays, even, or if we go to, if they stay even, we stay odd, and we might have that 40, 60,000, whatever that number is. That's the only thing concerned me more for the town.
Yeah.
Because is it worth 40, 50, 60 grand to do that? To me, probably not, but if we're not, I guess we need the number, whatever that number's gonna be. But 50, 60 is a significant number.
Right.
I don't think we're paying that.
And like I said, it's just more for conversation to see where we were with it, and,
So let me ask you, I'll just ask a general question. So is it the number that we're hung up on? What if it's 20 grand? Is that a big enough number?
I myself, I'm assembly alone, I'm not being, I'm gonna vote it on. That's good.
Well, I mean, if his concern is the money, my point is if it's 20 grand, is that enough to make you change your mind?
I'd like
is
to
it-
find
is it-
out exactly how much it is.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna be significantly different.
yeah, that's all I was asking, the key is the number, as long as it's not going, as long as the towns can sustain it, I guess that's my thought on that.
We could give you the number now, but we couldn't give you what the school pays and how that would be distributed. So I don't know if what us telling you will help or hurt.
Okay.
I mean, we could give you what we're currently paying, but again, that's not gonna be representative of what you would be paying if they moved.
Currently pay 12, 1,700, somewhere in that range.
Comes in depending on the year between 12 and 1,700.
I don't have that sheet with me. So let me ask this, if it was to change, is because it would affect elections, would it have to take effect at the beginning of the fiscal year?
Well, I mean, they don't bill us till they have the election.
So I mean, I know that, but I mean, if we're adjusting elections, because that would be something that would affect the charter of the town, right?
Yeah, we'd have to change the charter. I think the first election in effect here would be 2024.
Right.
2024.
I think you could do it fast enough for 2022. You have to have legislation do it. But you couldn't put a local bill in there, but you couldn't get it crossed over. So you'd have to wait for.
So 2025.
So if we're concerned about that, that's not something, I guess what my question is, if we wanted to do something, if the vote came in to approve it, I'm looking at the July 1st deadline because we're near the end of the fiscal year. Is this something that would, if we're gonna do it, would be approved before July 1st, or even if it's approved after July 1st, it still wouldn't take effect until the 2024 election? Is that what we're saying?
We can't change anything. We can't change our charter on this. All we can do is ask the legislature
A local bill. Okay.
to do it. And that's not a guarantee that they will.
And what you don't want to do, you don't want to have one municipality change and all the rest stay in odd number of years. That would really be a cluster.
But I've asked the school of government, and we don't have the authority to change our charter on this,
Who would we be asking for a local bill on?
the legislature.
You or Warren about
Okay. Would that need to be something that have to be written up in a resolution for us to do, or is that something that could be done in a vote?
I don't think there's a,
a vote and a request. Did they consider a local bill and a request to council?
So can we get the number that you're talking about by the next meeting and put it on the agenda to have a vote next meeting? And if you get that information ahead of time, obviously let us know, and that way we can do our own research as well.
I could probably get that number for you tomorrow or the next day, just depending on how
Just
quickly they can call me back.
You
Yeah,
get hold of Debbie, you know that.
yeah, as soon as she would call me back, she would let me know.
I was trying to start the hornet's nest, I heard 40, 50, 60. This week I was going, or the other week I was going,
Yeah, 40, 60 grand, long way from 1,700, right?
It's a
Well,
lot.
and-
I don't really want to be tied up there.
1,700 want to give you a good golf course.
Well, and I do want to.
Yeah, I don't want to be tied up in big government, so.
Well, and I do want to put out there that the 1,700 is while we're sharing with the school. I don't know how much the school pays of that and how much, if they're to move, I don't know how much they're leaving us with.
And all the other county elections too, it's not just the school,
Yeah.
because it's
well,
like corner and all the other
Well,
stuff.
and that's a good point too. It depends on your costs with a lot of times, or will depend on if any other municipalities move their election. So let's say if more municipalities move theirs to even number of years, that's gonna affect the scenario just as much as if the school moves. So if we move and the school moves, but the other ones don't stay the same, I don't know how that's gonna affect it.
But because to even though they'll be shared also with the state and the federal, right?
Yeah, so you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of,
Okay.
I'm just saying I don't know.
Okay, is that just discussion or
Yes.
we're not gonna, okay. 7, new business. 7A, consider approval of resolution accepting American Rescue Plan Act for 2021 funds. And that is in your packet.
Just as a brief overview, we were told to receive the funds, we had to have a resolution stating that we will accept it. So this is nothing more than council saying we're willing to accept.
We'll take them and do the right thing, although nobody knows what the right thing is.
Do we have to tell them what we're going to do with the money?
So I will tell you this, they have put out a 151-page document defining how, when, on what you can use it for. If you want to know my opinion, a lot of it looks like at some point, the local governments in each area are going to get together and pull some of these funds. Because a lot of what's unprecedented is there is language in this that we can give an individual household money. That's never been the case. To me, a lot of these funds are going to have to be given to like a centralized person who will execute it on behalf of the town in several different areas. Some of it obviously we'll be able to use like we did in the last set of funds, provided we can make the case. But right now, they're still I'll tell you this, the only class we've even attended is the make sure you've registered with SAMS and DUNS, which basically just says, hey, do you have an account to receive the number in and record it? So they've not even gotten past the registering with the websites, let alone getting into the minutia of what the plan is going to call for. The only things we know right now is our number is going to be around 590,000. That's coming in 2 payments, and we have until December 2024 to spend it. And that we've gotten a 150-page document. I've skimmed it, but it's going to be a lot different than they're saying. It's an unprecedented bill in that they've never seen something like this in terms of allowing a state to spend this type of federal money, let alone the local government giving $600,000. I mean, that's over 10 times what we got the last time, almost 11. So as of right now, the only thing I know to tell you is I would advise you to adopt this so that you can at least receive those funds. And then we wait for more
We'll figure out
guidance.
how we use it.
Figure out if we can spend it or not.
Yeah.
Even though they did come out and say that Governor Cooper did not have proper oversight with all of this money that's coming out to the state.
He's even said they're going to use a portion of the state funds to distribute checks directly to the stimulus checks at the state level. California and Maryland, last time I checked, have already done it, distributed individual checks. From what I've seen at the North Carolina level is anyone making below $30,000 a year will receive a $250 payment. Anybody making 15 or less gets a $500 payment direct.
Yeah, so the extra credit 2.0 or I think.
Yeah. So I don't, but outside that, I don't know much yet.
Well,
I don't think
We got to accept it to receive money.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'll go
lose $600,000 on the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'll go and make
That's a lot
the
of money.
motion to accept the resolution. Figure out what to do with it.
Okay, all in favor? All right, thank you. 7B, the first reading of the fiscal year 21 through 22 budget.
If you have the memorandum, I'm gonna highlight the parts that we definitely want you to know about, especially given the fact that last year's code. So I'll run through the pages of the budget message memorandum and highlight some numbers and things we've included. So due to the pandemic, Hickory, Lenore, Morganton, MSA experienced an 18% drop in employment in the 2 months from February 2020 to April 2020, which included 12,500 or 27% of goods producing jobs. Furniture lost 50% of its jobs during that time, while textiles lost 41.5%. The leisure and hospitality industry saw a decline of 51%. Our MSA with the 18.4% did not compare well with the state rate, which was at 12.3% unemployment. The national rate was at 13.7%. So North Carolina and the nation as a whole fared better in our local area. From April 2020 until December 2020, the Hickory MSA regained 61.5% of the jobs lost during the pandemic. The unemployment rate fell from 17.6% to 6.1% during that period. The county eventually reached a rate of 5.8%, included a return of 6,500 jobs, goods producing jobs, only 500 of which returned between June and December, leaving the area still short of 6,000 goods producing jobs as compared to the pre-pandemic levels. Furniture did not fare as well, as it was still down 30%, textiles were down 27.6%, and then leisure and hospitality did make a fairly good return, as they're down 15.4 as opposed to 51. So at this point, the Hickory MSA still has the 7th highest unemployment rate among the 15